to the IPA, hashtag #SheIsIPA, and a Policing TV collaboration on highlighting women in policing and police women in International Police Association. Well, my name is May-Britt Ronnebro, and I'm a former national president of IPA Sweden. I also served as chairperson of the Professional Commission and also Secretary General in the past term for the International Executive Board of IPA. I am one of 6 IPA members who are working on a project that is called hashtag #SheIsIPA. We deliver interviews, webinars, seminars, and much other things that can empower police women. And our goal is to attract police women to join the IPA and parallel also empower them in their profession with training. During 2024, we will meet interesting people in our interviews who are connected to policing. And today we are meeting Hannah Wheeler, who is a Chief Superintendent and working for the Metropolitan Police in United Kingdom or England to make it more easy for you to understand. We will speak with her about her background in policing, why she joined IPA, and also what she's been contributing when it comes to women in IPA and also women within policing and particularly leadership. So Hannah, I would like to say very welcome to us today at Policing TV and hashtag #SheIsIPA. I know that you joined the police in 1993 as a police officer in England, and may I first ask you to give some facts about English police and the structure, numbers, and whatever you would like to share with us today?
Thank you, and thank you for having me, May-Britt. I feel very honoured to be here speaking to you. So when I joined in 1993, there were far less women in policing in the Met than there are now. I have been looking everywhere to get the exact figures, and I can't. But at the moment, there are just over 32,500 police officers in the Met, and roughly 30% of those are female. So if you think nationally, we're made up of sort of 51% women in the country. We've got some way to go before we're equal in the Met. When I first joined, I was one of the first female officers to have a warrant number that was the same as the male officers, because in 1993 they stopped using women's warrant numbers. They were just 4 figures, and now we have a 6-figure warrant number. So I was concurrently counted as one of the new warrant numbers. So when I arrived in my police station, everyone thought I was going to be a man, because I had a male warrant number, and I didn't have the W in front of my PC for WPC, which was for Women Police Constable. So I was a police constable. So yes, it was. I was the first probationer on my team in over a year. So we didn't bring out that many new officers onto team, whereas now we have hundreds joining each month. And I was one of 3 officers on my team. I was the youngest female, but it was a very supportive team. The experience on the team, most of the male officers had between 15-20 years service in frontline policing. That is very different now. Most people have between sort of 18 months to 2 years, and the supervisors have probably 3 to 4 years service. So it's really changed quite significantly. So I was very well sort of guided and supported on team and tutored.
That sounds really great to start at a place that people are welcoming you, because that can be a difference from place to place around the country and also different between different countries around the globe. Yeah. Well, I know that if we talking a little bit more about what you did after your first time, because I know you've been working in Richmond and also in Hammersmith, Fulham. And when I met you, you was working national, from what I understood, to be a lead of something that we will speak about a little bit later. And later on, I also met you in Ealing. So if you go back to the time in Richmond, what was your experience at all, and why did you move around?
I have moved around a lot, actually, because I'm very much someone that likes to volunteer for things. I like to try different things, meet different people, try different opportunities. So when I came out of training school, I was posted to Acton and Ealing, which was a very good place to kind of learn my street craft and my policing skills. And when I was promoted to sergeant, I went to Wembley and Kilburn as well. Very, very big area to police, very diverse. But my posting to Richmond happened as an inspector, and it was a fantastic posting because it was a totally different area to one that I had been policing. If you ask anyone in the Met, they would say, "Oh, it's very lovely and very kind of leafy and nice," but it's a very a very interesting area to police. We have Twickenham, so we have the rugby stadium. So I did my my public order policing training so that I could manage, the public order and the rugby matches and things that happened there. And that's where I really discovered my love for neighbourhood policing and partnership policing. And one of the things that has always stuck with me in policing is how much of it is non-crime related. We very much are dealing with people that are in mental health crisis, and I was really keen to try and, I suppose, to try and understand more of that and try and resolve it before people got into a criminal kind of space. So I piloted the first mental health street triage pilot in the Met. So nurses working alongside police officers to answer calls where people were in mental health crisis, because officers, although we're well trained, we're not trained we don't have medical backgrounds. So that was a really successful pilot, and it's now rolled out across the Met and nationally. Actually, it's commonplace now that nurses do work very closely alongside police officers, and it really improves our knowledge and support for people that are really in a difficult space and have come into contact with police because they feel they have no other option.
Was that your idea, or where did you get it from?
We were, funny enough, we were in a meeting and we were talking about the skills that police officers needed and how much of the kind of what is perceived as antisocial behaviour was coming from people that were crying out for help and behaving out of character and causing police to turn up. But when we got there, they didn't need arresting, they needed help. And it was a partnership meeting, actually, and we were just discussing around, wouldn't it be a good idea if police weren't always the first people on scene to deal with things like this? So we said, well, why don't we try a plan where we police together? Yeah, and it has really, really worked. We now have nurses and doctors working really closely with us. We have nurses in our control rooms as well, so that when people call up in crisis, they can speak to someone that's trained to speak to them.
Yeah,
So we
that's
have come a
wonderful.
long way.
Yes, yeah. So when you talk about this, I would say that you must have had supportive chiefs or bosses on your shifts that was able to make a decision to go through with new ideas.
Yes, I have been very blessed with supportive line managers and supportive leaders. And generally, leaders are supportive. You can approach them with a plan or an idea and say, I've identified this problem. I think, a possible solution might be this. can you let me try it and run with it? And I think as long as you present quite a good plan and you've highlighted what the risks might be and how you would tackle them, and also funding as well. Money is always an issue, so managed to use some underspend from the local community mental health team. So we were able to pilot it funded,
Yeah.
and then you work out what funding you then need to carry it on. But I have been very well supported, yes.
Yeah. A good plan, and also, as you say,
Yeah.
you need to be prepared for whatever can happen during that project time. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If we look a little bit about if you're happy to share with us your private time, you've been working full time, I assume, most of the time at least, and then you will have a private life as well. How was it recognized by your family and your friends when you became a policewoman?
My family were very supportive. My friends thought it was quite funny because they said that I wasn't a terribly observant person. So they used to joke that, people would be committing crimes and I wouldn't notice. Rather unfairly, I think. But yeah, so I have been really well supported. I met my husband in the police. I think probably most of us meet our partners at work, don't we? But I started off in uniform and then thought that I probably wanted to be a detective quite early on. So then I became a trainee detective constable and worked at Southall on the domestic violence unit and that community safety side of things. And I absolutely loved it. But when I came to take promotion to sergeant, the only option was to be promoted in uniform. So I could have not taken promotion or been promoted, and I thought, no, I'll go to uniform because I loved it. And then I kind of just never looked back really. I stayed in uniform. So I had my first child when I was a sergeant. That was really quite difficult coming back to work after maternity leave. I took some unpaid leave to add on the end of my maternity leave. We got 12 weeks when I had my first baby, and I didn't think that would be long enough. So added some unpaid leave on, but came back and I did work part-time, but I had to work the same shift pattern as my team. So it was a mixture of earlies, lates and nights.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy. I used to hand the baby over to my husband in the car park on nights and, drop off at nursery and then go on to work and things. So it was really difficult. And at points I did think, oh, what am I doing? But then I thought, no, I need to progress so that I can be the best possible, mother for my children. But also I think it made me a better leader at work. I had a better understanding of, the difficulties some people have when they come to work because you don't always see behind the uniform. So I think it made me a better leader being a mother. And then I went on to have my second child when I was an inspector, and I was in a job at training school, so I had more regular hours, and I stayed in that job probably longer than any other job I've done because it suited my circumstances at the time. So I
Yeah.
kind of put my career on a bit of a hold while I brought my children up when they were very, very young. And my husband as well had a very good career in the Met, and he was a detective on one of the murder teams. So actually, when a murder happened, I didn't see him for days on end. So it was something's got to give, really. I always say to people when I'm talking about, is it possible to have it all? Can you have it all? And I think you can, but not all at the same time. So I think at
No.
different points in your career, you can
Yeah.
decide what's important so that you maintain that work-life balance. But yeah, you say you can have it all, but it's all at different times and how it suits you and your job.
Yeah. Well, you need the support both from your
Yeah.
husband, as you mentioned, and you need the support also from your working colleagues. So there will be an
Absolutely.
understanding that, as you said, you put some things on the hold because other things are more important at a time. But you're still in policing, and I'm very happy
Yeah.
about that, Hannah. So with all this you so far been sharing with us, we will move over to something else. So I would like to say to our audience that we're having an interview with Hannah Wheeler about her policing time, and we will soon speak about why she joined IPA. But we make a little break and we will be back very soon. This is Policing TV and hashtag She's IPA. Thank you very much.